Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Leo and your moon in Sagittarius. So we're talking about double fire. And fire energy can be loud. It can be flashy. A person who has a lot of fire in their inner planets can come across in a very extroverted manner. But you do have to look at the rising sign because that is going to also color things and can be the first impression. If somebody has this combination and they have, I don't know, like Virgo rising, they might be much more nondescript. I mean, the way that they dress might be more muted colors. I always joke about Leo that they might dress like they're going to Las Vegas or something, where there's just like a lot of what do you call that? I was going to say glitter, but that's not on clothing usually. um, the what do they call that? Gold lame, or some kind of really yellow is a big color, gold and reds and things like that. So that can put a little bit of a muted a mute on their flamboyant personality, but it won't really muzzle it too much because when you have that much fire, it's just too overwhelming and extroverted. So that would be the only thing. Like if somebody has Scorpio rising, they might be a little bit more, slow to warm up and not really sure if they should trust somebody to be able to talk to them. But once you get to know someone, they break the ice, you're going to be like totally different. And if you have like an air sign or a fire sign as your rising sign, then you'll really be a very extroverted person. You probably will be out of the house a lot. You'll probably only stay at home to sleep and, things like that. Because it's not that a person who has a lot of masculine energy hates being at home, but they just have so many activities usually, so many irons in the fire. So Leo rules the fifth house, and that has to do with love and creativity. So Leo people and Sages, but I would say really Leo because Leo's ruled by the sun, tend to be, very warm and kind of radiating that warmth towards other people. When a Leo person is balanced, they are so encouraging, such a great leader. Leos are associated with being a leader. But in order to be a good leader, you have to really be encouraging to other people and you have to give them freedom. You can't be a petty tyrant. So when a Leo person feels unsure of themselves, they can be quite tyrannical, and then it's not so pretty. But let's assume that all of you are the good Leos. And because the moon is in Sag, you probably have a trine between the sun and moon, although not necessarily because it does depend on how far apart your sun and moon are. But at least they are in compatible signs overall. And so the moon is the emotional nature, and because it's in Sag, it's very positive. It's looking at the glass half full and happy-go-lucky. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and another name for Jupiter is Jove, and the um, adjective, actually it might be is it an adverb? Because it might be the part of speech that's an adverb, is jovial, meaning that the person is cheerful or happy. So this kind of person is very well suited for any kind of occupation that involves encouraging other people. This combination, because Leo is going to be the same way. Now, Leo ruling the fifth house also deals with children. So Leo people can have a great rapport with children and be some sort of leader. If not a teacher, they might be a coach. And Sag is associated with sports, I think. And so, some kind of a coach. But of course, you could have a life coach, which has nothing to do with sports. And this combination can be good for anything where you are helping others to better themselves. And so, specifically with Leo, because Leo to me is in the driver's seat, being in the sun position, and more about the ambitions, Leo is associated with the creative arts, especially with performance. And I would say with the moon in Sag, that's going to be something typically what the person is into. Now, the midheaven for Leo is going to be Taurus, I would think. And Taurus can be associated with artistic endeavors because it is ruled by Venus. But Taurus can definitely be money and things like that. It's really interesting about Leo because Leo people can be very intelligent. I don't usually think of Leos as intellectuals because they're very good at different things. Leo people can be good at business. They really can. It might have, I don't know if it has to do with having inner planets in Cancer, maybe. I don't really know why that would be, but I feel that that's the case. But whatever a Leo person does, they can be very talented and hardworking. And also the positivity that they tend to have serves them well because I shouldn't say this I should be directing this towards you because most of you who are listening for yourselves. So I should be just saying you instead of they. But yeah, so whatever it is that you do, you make a great leader, and that means that you may aspire to positions of authority. So if you're working for somebody else, that's something that you will gravitate towards, or people will just naturally look to you as a leader, even if you are one of the underlings or the minions, peons, whatever you want to call them. So, in terms of love, Leo may be kind of possessive. Fire signs usually believe in freedom, but Leo, being the ruled by the sun, sometimes Leo wants people to revolve their lives around them, and they want because that attention that they seek, and so it doesn't even have to be jealous about people who are potential partners. It can be friends, or there can be an immaturity. Again, this is going to be more of the imbalanced Leo, the person who's less secure. So look to see if your sun forms a square with Mars. That can be an indication that you are, and that would typically be if Mars is in Taurus, or yeah, especially if Mars is in Taurus, because Taurus is another sign that's very jealous, but also if Mars is in Scorpio, that can be a difficult one. The Leo Scorpio square, because both of them have their own issues. The ego can flare up with the Sun square Mars situation, where the person can feel a bit like they have a chip on their shoulder. And sometimes this comes from the way that an example would be if the Leo person comes from a background where they don't feel like they are a, very, very in a socioeconomic class that is at a higher level. Like if they're at a lower level, Leo is very proud and it strives to be in the A list. So there can be that kind of projection, and that's really what so even like an opposition between the Sun and Mars too. This can manifest in that way. With the opposition, it's more like a projection of thinking that other people are looking down on them and trying to prove themselves. But even with the square, the same thing. The person can be overly, very competitive, and that can create problems because Leos already can be arrogant if they're not checked. And I'm a Sun in Sagittarius, so this is something that all fire signs, Aries is the other fire sign, that they get accused of. And that's because the fire signs are really dealing with the self and celebrating the self and expressing the self. And other people misconstrue that sometimes as being self-centered, which it is not, unless the person is very self-absorbed and unaware of how they're coming across to other people, arrogant and that kind of thing. But just being, very creative and expressing yourself and knowing yourself doesn't make somebody arrogant. And so anyway, in general, this can be a very playful combination where you have your inner child is alive and well. And in relationships, you can just be very fun-loving, liking, loving to do things with your partner in a lighthearted way, not some kind of heavy, drawn-out relationship. But here's another example. This is what I always say, if you don't understand the difference between passion and drama, you may create drama thinking that you're living this passionate life, and it's very toxic. So again, it all depends on being balanced. And that means that you are really being creative, and that's another aspect of that, is creating something, a work of art, rather than creating drama. And it's like channeling excess energy. How some people, and I would say this especially with Aries, for instance, tending to have all this excess energy. If they don't channel it properly, they can get in trouble, And so the same thing applies to this combination being double fire, is that it can be very volatile unless the person is, realizing that they have to calm down, that they have to channel their emotions in an appropriate way, because like the water signs, the fire signs can be very emotional, but they will tend to be passionate about ideas rather than upset about their childhood. Anybody can be upset about their childhood, but fire signs won't tend to brood about it. They might kind of make it more universal. If they got hit when they were a kid, then they might talk about how bad it is to hit children, but they won't talk about their own situation all the time and just make it about themselves. And they make it more of a universal thing. But it still is emotional, and you can get very riled up if something really bothers you, not just about your own feelings getting offended, but somebody else's. You know, you might be that like warrior trying to champion somebody else, but it's, again, it might be creating more drama than it really is doing any good. So there has to be some kind of tempering of that fire. And, you know, it goes without saying that spiritual practices can help with that. It doesn't mean about putting out the fire with, you know, dampening it, but to be more aware of how you might be overwhelming to other people. And so to be able to give people space in relationships is very important. But like I said, I think that this can be a great, like a romantic and playful combination. So that can be great. Okay, well, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.